Hello, I have a story for you today. It's called The Big Orange Splot by Daniel Manus Pinkwater. Mr. Plumbeam lived on a neat street where every one of the houses looked the same. He liked it that way, and so did all his neighbours. They said,
This is a neat street.
Then one day, no one knows why, but a seagull came flying by and was holding a tub of orange paint. And no one knows why, but he dropped that orange paint and it left a big orange splot right on Mr. Plumbeam's house.
Oh, too bad. Mr. Plumbeam will have to paint his house again. I suppose I will.
But he didn't paint his house straight away. He got along with his other business until his neighbours had to nudge him once more.
Mr. Plumbeam, we wish you'd get round to painting your house. Okay.
And he went out to the paint store at night because it was cooler. And he got some blue paint and white paint and pink paint, and he painted all night. He painted his roof, he painted his walls. And when everybody woke up in the morning, all the houses were neat except for Mr. Plumbeam's. It was like a rainbow. It was like a jungle. It was like an explosion. There was the big orange splot and small orange splots and stripes and pretty girls and lions and steamrollers.
Plumbeam has popped his cork,
Slipped his wig,
and slipped his hawser.
That night, Mr. Plumbeam went out when it was cooler and bought carpentry tools and went up on his roof and built a clock tower. The next day,
Plumbeam has gushed his mush.
lost his marbles.
they decided that they would pretend not to notice. That very night, Mr. Plumbeam went out to the garden centre again because it was cooler. And he picked up all sorts of things, palm trees, thorn bushes, baobab trees. He even got a hammock and a pet alligator. And he got to work. The next morning they came out and saw the scene. Mr. Plumbeam was in his hammock drinking nice cold lemonade with his alligator pet right next to him.
This used to be a neat street.
Plumbeam has gone too far.
What have you done to your house?
And Plumbeam said,
My house is me and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams.
The people went away and asked the person who lived next door to Mr. Plumbeam to have a word with him.
Tell him that we all liked it the way it was before. Tell him that the house needs to look just like ours.
So we can have a neat street.
And so at night he went over and Mr. Plumbeam poured him a glass of lemonade and they talked all night long.
My house is me and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams.
Early the next morning, before the sun was truly up because it was cooler, the man went out and got lumber and paint and tools himself. And by the time the other neighbours woke up, you could see a red and blue ship next to Mr. Plumbeam's house.
What have you done? Just like Plumbeam. He's got bees in his bonnet, bats in his belfry,
And nuts in his noodle. My house is me and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams.
Then one by one, each night, as the neighbours were uncomfortable and wanted their neat street, they thought they might be able to change Mr. Plumbeam's mind. But every morning, when they woke up, one more of the houses was transformed to look like their dreams. Now, whenever a stranger comes to Mr. Plumbeam's street, they look at the street and say, "This is not a neat street." And all of the neighbours say,
Our street is us and we are it. Our street is where we like to be, and it looks like all our dreams.
Our street is us, and we are it. Our street is where we like to be, and it looks like all our dreams.